Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about God of War's Kratos character, main character, catalyst, right? Like Kratos is the heart of God of War, and God of War is a video game. Now, Scott, wait, what you talking about a video game for? Every now and then, video games kind of like come out of their useless state and present something that is valuable to the Dungeons and Dragons community, and this is the case. So something special is happening on God of War right now with the character Kratos that impacts Dungeons and Dragons world stranding. Okay, Dungeons and Dragons intellectual property expansion, and they're doing something on God of War with Kratos that specifically has to be looked at by every dungeon master in the world because it's so important. All right, so let's jump into this. Today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to talk about God of War. We're going to talk about Kratos, and we're going to talk about world stranding and connecting worlds, and why lore matters, why canon matters, why connection matters, why official matters. Right? Okay. So let's get into it. All right. So first of all, I gotta explain what's happening here. So I'm talking about video games, right? Now, I desperately try not to talk about video games. So let me say the good part first, right? So why am I on that D&D grind? I am on, like, I talk about D&D every single day, right? And not just once. My record is 19 uploads in a day, right? I've had a day where I uploaded 19 distinct videos, right, about Dungeons and Dragons. And it used to be like, oh, Scott, man, you should be rolling that hard. And that's why I love Pearl Davis over on Just Pearly Things. She did 20, beat me by 1. So she's talking about dating, right? Like, which actually she's brilliant at talking about. But I'm not the only one who rolls hard with content, right? Like, I'm not even the top tier, right? Like, but I'm on that D&D grind. I care about D&D a lot. Why? Because it's tier 1 intellectuals, okay? The most charismatic, confident, intelligent people in the world are Dungeons and Dragons. And frankly, I will tell you right now, I think Dungeons and Dragons is it's a filter for genius, right? Or people who are scraping the bottom of genius level. I actually don't know if I'm a genius. I've never had an IQ test. I do know I'm very confident that one of my kids is a genius. We figured that out a while ago. Like, we play board games all the time, right? And, like, I think it was probably like 10 years ago, we were playing a board game, and one of our kids, said, like, we were going around taking our turns, and one person was like, oh, I don't know if I should play the blue or the red, right? And one of my kids was like, you should play the red. You have 3 resources there. Your placement is perfect, and this is your sequenced time to do that. And in that moment, everybody at the table was like, holy crap, he is not playing his game. He has a bucket in his head, and he has every single person's pieces and positioning. He's playing every person's game at the table, right? Like, and it was me and my wife kind of just like side eye each other, like, whoa, what's happening? Like, so, and I think that's why I love Dungeons and Dragons. It's just tier 1 intellects, all right? Like, it's just like tier 2 intellects need not apply, right? Like, there's 8,000 pages of canon in Perkinian Dungeons and Dragons alone, right? Perkinian era Dungeons and Dragons alone, right? I think if you took all the D&D canon hardbacks, you're looking at easily 50,000 pages of canon, right? And guess what? If you're a dungeon master, that's what you got now, because it's all one D&D, right? There's just one Dungeons and Dragons now. Editions are dead. It's just the eras, and each era dumping every D&D canon hardback they ever created right into D&D current. That's Dungeons and Dragons today. If you don't know, now you know, as Biggie said. All right. Okay. So what did Kratos of God of War recently do? Okay, so first of all, my oldest son is a huge God of War fan, and he's played every single edition of the game on every single platform, and he has bought platforms just to play it, right? Now, I know the history of Kratos, right? And so I was like, hey, so they just dropped a new Kratos, a new God of War game, and I'm going to get there, right? But I remember God of War Chains of Olympus, right? And I remember watching, Dad watching right? I didn't play that game, but I watched my son play 60 hours of it, right? And I was like, oh, okay, Kratos is in the world of Greek mythology, and he fights Greek mythology hydras, and he's in the world of Greek mythology, chains of Olympus. Okay, I get it, right? And he deals with the Olympic gods, right? And he fights the Olympic gods, right? Like, I think he has a fight with Ares or something. And so I was like, okay, I get it, right? Well, this week on our PlayStation, I go to play Fortnite, right? And there it says, hey, God of War Ragnarok. And I was like, wait, slow your roll. What do you mean God of War Ragnarok? He can't be up in, that's Norse. Ragnarok is Norse mythology. And I'm like, man, you sad sack tier 2 video gamers, you make me sick, right? Don't you know that Greek mythology and Norse mythology are not the same thing, right? But I was wrong, right? The people writing God of War are not tier 2 intellects the way I had sinfully judged them, okay? And I'm sorry to all you video gamers. Some of you are not tier 2 intellects, right? And so what I found was, I was shocked to find this, right? So Kratos journeyed from the world of Greek mythology to the world of Norse mythology, right? And I assumed that video gamers and video game designers are so stupid that they just took him from one to the other, and there was no lore, there was no world stranding, there was no intellectual property expansion from Greek mythology to Ragnarok. They just did it because they're stupid. I was wrong, 100% wrong. And again, video gamers, I apologize for sinfully judging you as stupid. Not all of you are stupid. And this shocked me, okay? God of War, right? I think Ubisoft makes it. I'm not positive who the publisher is. But the publishers were like, hey, Kratos is going from the Greek mythological world to the Norse mythological world, and that needs narrative explanation. It doesn't make sense. We have to do world stranding. We have to do intellectual property expansion, and we have to do it right. We have to do it with the promotion. We have to do it with the packaging. We have to do it with the game itself. We have to do it right. So what did they do? They commissioned a large comic book company to create God of War Fallen Gods, which is literally the narrative story that tells you exactly how Kratos journeyed from the Greek mythology world to the Norse mythology world. They built the narrative bridge. And this is what's happening right now with Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is the first triple beam Millennium World Strander. Dungeons & Dragons has connected itself to 1,000 worlds through Magic the Gathering, specifically through the Fallout, through the Secret Layers Fallout set. Dungeons & Dragons has connected itself to 1,000 worlds through Funko Pop. Dungeons & Dragons has connected itself to 1,000 worlds through Lego, right? It is the first story engine it is the first product ever that has the primary purpose of telling stories to say, world strand, connect, click, stack the deck, right? Miniature, DIY, paint your Funko Pop as your player character. Here's Dritz Do'Urden, here's He-Man, right? And God of War understands it. When you connect these things, you have a great idea, but you go back and you build the narrative bridge. You make it make sense. Funko Pop, Lego, Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, in my humble opinion, is supplying the literal physical building blocks of the most expansive, most exciting, most complex world building projects ever put in front of people. But the narrative bridge, the explanation, is being given to every dungeon master on the planet. It is happening right now. The ramifications are billions of dollars. The ramifications are, without a doubt, a Supreme Court decision 20 years from now. We are laying the brickwork. This is what I'm telling you. Dungeon masters are the most important people in the world now. Not because politicians aren't important, just because they suck at a level that's suckitude. They are using a shovel to build new levels of suckitude. Every scientist on the planet is doing great science and failing utterly to deliver their data in a narrative, winsome way, right? And so all the science they're doing is worthless, right? Every politician in the world is like, I'm going to lead you, but guess what? We can't count votes in a day. Ooh, right? You suck. Politicians suck. Scientists suck. Dungeon masters have to save the world at this point. And you know where it starts? It starts recognizing the new American steel. You know what the new American steel is? It is narrative. It is connecting the largest, most powerful intellectual properties in the world and telling stories that no one even imagined were possible, right? It's on me. It's on you, in my humble opinion. I'm eager to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever played God of War? Let me know in the comments of War. Are you seeing it? Are you starting to see what's at stake for every dungeon master out there? Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful millennium.